Hello, everybody. This is Vince Russo here with the post analysis of the Goldberg Kevin Owens match. I wanted to do a special podcast for you tonight because, as you all know, I moved to my cabin in the woods a couple of weeks ago, and last week we started doing our podcast again. And if you're a follower of the show, we had some technical difficulties. I was very, very upset with those technical difficulties. Listen, man, if I'm going to put on a show, it's got to be top quality. I can't have technical difficulties. Those things bother me very, very much. It took me about a week to straighten everything out. I think I finally have found the solution now of what's going to work in the cabin. So I wanted to do a special free show tonight on YouTube to just thank you for your patience the last week, and to also show you going forward. It looks like we're going to have a good signal here at the cabin, and we shouldn't have any problems going forward. Again, you can listen to me Monday through Friday on Podcast One, and you can watch me Monday through Friday on the Realm Network on video. You could become a subscriber to the Realm Network for only $2.95 a week. You get 5 video podcasts a week, and you'll get the shows on Podcast One a day early before they appear on Podcast One. Now, I knew from the get-go I was not going to watch the entire pay-per-view. Listen, not a dig at the WWE. Me personally, I'm not interested in the product. I don't want to watch the product. I don't enjoy the product. As I said, I thought I'd do a synopsis of the last match as a thank you to you. And I'm kind of glad I did, because if I would have sat through 3 hours waiting for that main event, I think I would have been a bit more disappointed. But, I'm not disappointed, because that's always my beef with the WWE and creative, that people don't understand. People like to say, oh, Vince Russo is bitter, and Vince Russo is upset because he's not working there, and yada, yada, yada. I mean, as you could see, I'm at peace on a lake here. The last place I want to be is at a WWE pay-per-view. I don't even know where Fastlane took place. But my point is, my beef always comes with the creative and the effort of creative. And that's where it has to come from, because that was my forte. That's what I did for many, many years with 3 wrestling companies. And you know what? Maybe everything I did wasn't great. Maybe everything I did you weren't a big fan of, but I could tell you this. Everything I did, I put effort into, and I thought everything through, and we just opened up the envelope to many, many, many possibilities, and we looked at all angles before we wrote the show. Now, it's obvious to everybody. You don't have to be a booker. You don't have to be a writer. It's obvious to everybody as they go into this main event, they want to accomplish moving forward to WrestleMania with both the Goldberg and the Brock Lesnar match and the Jericho Kevin Owens match. That's the goal. That's what they want to do. WrestleMania is the big one. Fastlane is a stop along the way. They're looking at it like it's not important, even though, let's face it, people still pay for the pay-per-view, but they're looking at WrestleMania, so they need to build up both of these matches going into WrestleMania. I understand that, and I get that. I just don't believe in, Chris Jericho music and entrance. Oh my God. Kevin Owens is caught off guard, and he's surprised to see Jericho, even though he put his head through a plate glass last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it is. And it's he's distracted, spear and pin. To me, if you're sitting in a creative meeting, if you're sitting at Vince McMahon's dining room table, as I did hundreds of times, that's a 3-second conversation. It's a 3-second conversation. Hit Jericho's music. Owens will be distracted. Spear, match over. So, again, in their minds, they accomplished what they wanted to do. They got out of the match. Goldberg is champion. Now there's a little bit more in the line at WrestleMania. And, in their opinion, it doesn't hurt Owens because he was distracted by Jericho, and that's why he lost the match. In their minds, that's how they protected Kevin Owens. My point is, there would have been a way to get to the same exact spot by putting a little more thought into it and being a little bit more creative rather than music, distraction, spear, pin. That's the problem I have, guys. That's the problem I always have. I watch television and I like to be intrigued and I like to be sucked into storylines and I like to be sucked into characterizations of the characters on the show. That's what I like as a television viewer. Music, distraction, spear is so 1970s, it's not even funny. And this is a big part of the reason of why I stopped watching the show. And listen, let me make this perfectly clear. If you enjoy this, great. If you enjoy watching Monday Night Raw, if you're a fan of the WWE, great. I'm not telling you not to be. I'm just telling you, as a form of writer, I like to have a little meat on the bone. I just don't like to do the simplest form of the finish of a match as possible. I like to think it through. How are we going to involve Jericho? Are we going to involve Lesnar? Let's come up with something entertaining, not just something that is just so obvious and so blatant and you saw it a million times before. So I'm not going to sit here and rant and rave. First of all, I didn't pay for the pay-per-view. Second of all, I didn't sit there for 3 hours. Third of all, I really don't care what the WWE does. And, fourth of all, it's not going to change my life. But I'm just telling you, this is why, I'm not a fan of the product. It's too simplistic for me. When Ed Ferrara and myself used to write Raw, even when we used to write WCW, even TNA to some extent, we used to like to call it a thinking man's show. You've got to think about the show. You got to think about how characters are reacting, what way storylines are going. You never really knew where it was going. It was a thinking man's show. That's how we wrote the show. That's what I personally enjoy. There was nothing to think about tonight. Music, caught off guard, spear, 1, 2, 3, match over, and that's it. So I don't know what else more to say about that than that. It is what it is. In their minds, they achieved what they wanted to do. Fastlane, a throwaway pay-per-view. We want to go to WrestleMania. We've moved both of these angles over. And like I said, I get it. I understand it. But to me, there was a creative way to get to the same exact spot. And that's the way I would have looked into booking this match. But that's it. Again, listen, we'll be back this week. As you could see, we have a better signal. We shouldn't have any more issues. I'll be back on Podcast One all week long. I've got a lot of guests this week, a lot of surprises. And like I said, you can catch the video on the Realm Network. Just go to Realm, RELMnetwork.com, or go to russosbrand.com. You could also follow me on Twitter at the Vince Russo. That's it. There's not too much I can say about a 5-second match. I think I said all that I could, but that's it. I will see you tomorrow on Podcast One on the Realm Network. Same bat time, same bat channel. Again, thank everybody for being patient this week. I really, really appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody.